Hey, good morning, guys. I'm just at the gym right now, actually, at the gym desk. I like to come here to do a lot of, I come here first thing in the morning. So doing this recording, it's like 5:30. But I like to come here. And I've been meaning to make more videos just about little snippets of the things I have been making. Because I think it's just fun how everyone here shows each other different stuff. And also, I've never really given myself much of an intro. So I'll show you guys here a little sneak peek. This is the dummy client, but this is just the app I made that a firm is using. Okay. And I'm going to show you just some cool features here. And then also my website here as well that I have set up. Um, you'll see here your firms running 8 different tools that don't talk to each other. That's kind of the whole thing. It's not just about the tool, it's about building, like, it's about identifying and improving the ecosystem. And then everything else from there works well. So, also, I do have a calendar down if I just show you guys here next week where you can book times, whatever. So, if anyone wants to talk about, starting a firm up or is interested in speaking about various topics, AI things, and then even some I'll mention too, some interviews I've been conducting for others to view. Yeah, there's that. So to the features though, and just to introduce a small amount about myself, I'm Jake Morris, and I'm 31 years old. I've worked in various things, but worked as a software engineer. So when it comes to attention to detail, security, running systems in place, how things need to be structured, that's kind of what it's all about for me. And I also grew up with a background in law, since my grandmother, grandfather, direct family. Last thing I'll say is my goal is to get into an Ivy League law school, if not a top 14. And so as I'm doing some of this too, one of the reasons why I'm recording is to be able to put out just like, what I can do, what I've done. And I hope that gives me some kind of benefit as well, because it's a competitive world out there. So look forward to chatting with any of you guys if you guys have any good advice for me. Um, but here's what we've done. So this is the dummy client, okay? And this is the app. And basically, the idea is everyone has tools, they have weak points, and it's just fixing those and improving those. And this is cool because since I've worked as a software engineer and I like a lot of AI stuff, it can be really hard to make a tool that doesn't just work for yourself, but that your staff can use. And that's the whole purpose. And it's also can be even more difficult to make a tool, right, that reliably can work not just from your office, but when you're away from it as well. So this client, right, they like to go to the cabin and they like to do stuff from home sometimes. They like to work from the cabin at times. They can access all their client info, yada, 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 very secure. So I've also worked with their IT team that manages security with their actual office. And I myself am building this. Well, I do the most of it, do have colleagues of mine that have worked in software development for over a decade. And so when it comes to this, security is at the forefront. SOC 2, encryption, um, the way things are saved, usernames, whole 9 yards. That's always the goal. So with that though, I don't want to talk too much about security in this. I just want to show a snippet. So let's go to this client. Let's say, you go back to a previous client, you want to edit them. You can go in the history, pull them up, edit all the info you want. And at the end, you have this nice summary. And if you want to edit any of these things, so like look here, clients and family information, trust one info, all here, yada yada. You also have, documents, a standard. This is a standard package we have of documents. You can customize it if you want other documents, but it's pretty automated. You can click on it, change that stuff if you want. The cool thing is this though, right here. You can save it to the app only when you change info, okay? And come back to it later. There may be different uses for that. Other one is this is connected to like, so if you want to edit a client, I'm a big fan of one source of truth. The reality is many of us have been using different tools. And so you don't want to just throw out your CMS right away. You don't want to just throw out your CRM. You may still want to use those for now. And even though this does a lot of that now, um, this button makes it to where we have our database set up, and that is the ultimate source of truth. But whenever you click on this and the app, it's going to update the information, but then it also is going and changing it to their CRM or CMS, whatever. And this is where you see it here. So in this case, data is often stored, right? For clients, you have a client, and then you might have a spouse, and then you might have their matter and their company. Those are all different objects. And so it's not as simple as just updating one thing with all the information. This makes it very tricky. This is a pain in the butt. Um, but I've actually built this out to where it can be able to update all of them without losing the attached parts. And so here you can see, and there's case management system. So this could be Clio, okay? It's actually going to update John Michael Smith with his information. And also, all the billing stuff will still be attached, notes, email history, whatever, will still be there. It's overriding and just updating the one part. But here, we actually don't have Jane Marie Smith in there. And so, Aaron, in this case, some people, right, store data differently in their case management systems. For this client, and I'm very well acquainted with how different people do it with the different softwares. Some people do it all under one thing. Some people have different contacts and they're tied together. Here we have it to where the spouse will have her own account. Okay, so John and Michael, it updates both individually, which is very nice. And then create it'll update your company, your matter, your trust. And the cool thing is, when it does this, it will make sure that Jane and John never is all connected together. It will create relationships. So for this, that's a separate API call, and to where they're all tied together. So when you click on one, you know who is who and how they're connected. What's great is that in the database, all this is kept in track as well. So you can do that. It'll send that, override it all. That's great. The other cool thing is too, we can actually pull in a previous client from their CMS, and it will actually. I have it built out to where it fills in the entire intake form completely accurately. So even though the information is stored very obscurely in their case management system, I built it out to where it's not too hard to do if you know what you're doing. You can have any intake form, and you can get it pretty quickly to where it will pull that information with the API request, and it can fill in your stuff the right way. And there are some actually good methods on how you can do that securely, and that's another thing I could talk more about. But here's another thing: generate documents only. And I know this is a lot of buttons. This can be confusing for all the staff and everyone. You show it to them at first. There's different ways to do this more cleanly. I've just kept this for now because they're all very familiar with it. I know I can simplify it, whatever, but this is actually kind of nice because you can go generate docs only, and it will just go ahead. Because sometimes you don't need to change info. Sometimes you don't want to overwrite stuff. It's already good. Sometimes you just want to generate other documents that have been made. So you go here, you go to trust, and here it is. This is very cool because when you do this, it's not just filling in information. It actually knows how to change grammar. And it actually knows, with this firm, they have like so much knowledge from their paralegals that have worked for over 20 plus years in estate planning and or their legal assistants, whatever their title. And so it actually knows in some of these sections, it has a collection of all those employees, their team, a lot of clauses that they use for different scenarios. And depending how you fill out the intake form, it actually, some of these clauses will vastly change and create different variations and do it accurately. So that's very cool. Very proud of that. Um, So there's that. And I know this is dragging on. Also, they work at a SharePoint. And so this firm, this is the kind of firm where they don't like the idea of sending a client right now their own intake forms. We've talked about that extensively. That's simply because this firm is like well established. They're referral based only. They take specific kinds of clients. And so they like to have their handheld. They don't want to have to worry about filling out anything themselves. They don't want to have to worry about going to their phone and this and this. It's like they like to just show up, sit down with the attorney, get all the information taken. Attorney can fill it out, do all that. It goes send to SharePoint. That's where basically you'll get an intake form, right? everything's done. And when you click this button or all the above, everything's done right away. So the client does it, click send, it saves it in your app, and then we'll update, Clio, Practice Panther, whatever, creates them, updates them. It also generates the documents, not only locally, but it'll actually send them to SharePoint because these clients have worked forever in SharePoint. That's their system. And I said, no problem. And they said, normally when we create a new client, we have to make a client folder in this specific area, right? And so to make sure we don't overwrite the wrong one, we can actually go and search throughout it and target the one where we want the new documents to be sent to. And if it's a new client, it will actually create a whole new thing for them, how they've always had to do it manually. So that all happens from the point of contact and submission. Um, but I like these buttons. It just shows all ways that you can be creative, right? So, and there's other things I'm implementing too, where one cool thing I think a lot of people can do with their systems is being able to have all the emails visible on their client. And I know Clio, Practice Panther have things where it's kind of automatically done, whatever, if you really are into it and use the system the way they want it to be. But I mean, honestly, a lot of these automations and ways these are coded, I think are going to be pretty old school soon. I think now, if you're a small firm, there are actually what I would say great ways. If you're small and this is just you and one other person, or maybe a few of you, you can get an environment pretty locked down. There's actually a lot of companies being made right now where the whole purpose is putting guardrails around your computer and guardrails around the environment that your AI can work through. And so that way, I envision a time where, like, if I was an attorney working on just my firm, I would just have it set up to where I can walk up, go to my computer, say, and just talk to it and say, hey, pull up all my people for this week, all my cases I have, and it'll do it. And I'll say, give me the rundown, brief summary for each. I can say, hey, prep me for my meetings on this. It can be able to pull up their files, and I can have it search my email. I can have it access all the different parts, pull it up to the forefront of my attention, and from there I can say, okay, check the calendar date, make the calendar for this time, take it, uh, send it over to this person in my staff, send the email, update these things, and obviously. This isn't to like replace, it's just making certain things more all in one environment, more easy, more simple to track. If it just helps you, if anything, organize things better, have to not learn as many different apps and whatever, that's great. But I think agents coming and being able to work securely, at least for small to mid-sized firm, big size, different story. But I think that's very close. I think we're pretty much there. Um, but also, I wanted to show you guys because making an app here, it's very easy to do nowadays to work for one person, but this is able to be used by staff, right? And the cool thing about this is you can be at the cabin, and this firm, they like to work from the cabin sometimes, sometimes work at home, work from anywhere. And you can use this very well in those use cases. When we talk about all the security, I don't want to talk about all the security that goes into it. I know that there's concerns around all that. I hear you, believe me. But this allows it to where they can do that. And what's even cooler is it can be used on the other machines by their staff. And that's what I also am proud of and really love. Um, Continuing to make improvements. But enough of this. That's just that feature. It's already been a good amount of minutes. But the last thing I'll say is I'm also just interested. Like, if you guys do have questions, like, I'm totally down to help people see how to make stuff for themselves. A lot of us can do it. In terms of how good some of these start and speed of getting something that works personally for you, a lot of you can do stuff like this. Um, Whether it can be used by other people, whole different story, whole different ball game. But if you guys want to talk, whatever, there is my website. Your firms run on tools that don't talk to each other, blah blah blah. Basically, I'm all about an ecosystem. Having worked in app development, software engineering, you learn about how to set up an ecosystem where you have one source of truth that everything works off of. And law can be hard because, like, things are scattered and hard to have consistency. That's what it's all about. And then consulting with how to run the firm well, pricing strategy stuff, um, basically just identifying and knowing how to take the pain points and the things that are preventing increase in revenue, more productivity. That's what it's all about. So that's a whole nother discussion. We could talk about how, pricing oftentimes can be charged at a 5 to 10x higher tier than it currently is, and how you can build different tiers, all that stuff. Conducting interviews purely to help the younger generation. And it serves me in some ways, it does. It also helps other people. There's a lot of stereotypes in law. I just want to be able to show younger people, different areas and show them how much more it is. Solicitor of the United States, who worked under Bill Clinton. His name's Seth Wexman. Other people that are very revered in their industries, like in climate law. Professor Gerard at Columbia, one of the leading figures in the world. Columbia has an organization made where any climate or environmental law case that's done in the world uses the resources from his organization at Columbia. Also talked with other attorneys at Harvard, Stanford, different areas about their areas. One is she's pretty popular in politics right now. I couldn't record anything because she wanted to be private, but she might be the world's leading figure in LGBTQ rights and voting structure and representing minorities. She worked great work in the Supreme Court. So I'm doing some of those to basically show to other people. And my goal is I'm trying to get into my goal is to be able to make it into an Ivy League law school. And that's what I've been doing, prepping for that LSAT test. But also, I'm trying to be able to provide value and increase my skills. So I do all this stuff because I want to know how law firms work and how to actually help them and how to actually run it on the business side. And then also know the processes and be as effective as I can, know the technology. And I'm hoping these things will give me an edge. And by having these conversations, it will also just help with credentials and all that while helping others. So, any of you guys want to talk? Any of you guys working in a cool area of law or would like to be involved in helping me, speak to younger generations, kind of advice that you would want your younger self to have, give me a message, whatever. I can give you a link to my website.